a million toys from Amazon's list alone, and this is not an ad for Amazon. There's a myriad other ways of buying stuff, and Walmart has an enormous slice of the mail order business world. $1.3 trillion in holiday retail sales are projected in 2021, even with the supply chain issues. Think about that for a fucking second. $1.3 trillion just in Christmas sales, just in holiday sales. Up 7 to 9% from last year. He identified a market and is meeting demand. What the fuck is wrong with that? Yeah, I'm not sure what the big hang up about Bezos is, other than the idea that he doesn't pay enough in taxes personally. Because everybody uses the service. And it's not a zero-sum game. Dude started an online bookstore. For fuck's sake. We're not talking about the Sacklers in Purdue Pharmaceutical. Yes, exactly, V. Gabriel. $1.3 trillion just in holiday gifts this year. That's not even including food, people eating together for the first time in a year in some cases. Right? Or maybe years more than that, maybe 3-4 years, and they decided, well, I used to blow off Christmas or holidays with the relatives, but now we recognize how precious it is. I'm not going to miss any for a while. I don't think Amazon pays anything in taxes. They pay a lot in taxes. They just get money back because they invest in trucks and then they hire people and that kind of stuff. They pay based on profit. The idea is are they making actual profit? He pays income tax on his money for himself. He owns a stake in the company, but until he sells it, it's not worth shit. It could go away tomorrow. That's the way stocks work. Till you sell them, you don't pay capital gains on them, and that's where people are like, fucking Zuckerberg lost $4 billion in a day, and then it came right back. Like, he didn't win or lose anything. The only reason he lost, the idea that he lost $4 billion in a day is if he sold, at the bottom of that. If he just sits on it and goes back up, there you go. It's just an oversimplification. I mean, there's absolutely an argument for a higher tax rate on those folks. But the idea that companies don't pay any taxes, the biggest corporations don't pay any taxes, is largely a financial fallacy because they play a lot of ancillary stuff, and they also run for years in some cases. Like, look at restaurants. They run for years making no money. Or in a hole, they're paying off their debts and all that kind of stuff. They don't really make a profit until they clear that point, right? Now, it's the magic numbers I have a problem with. Look at Trump's numbers. Trump always loses money. His company is always a loser, except when he talks about it in front of, his suckers or in front of a bank he's trying to get a loan from. He talks to the IRS, his company's always losing money. And they're always losing. And there's never been a profit ever. Which is largely true because he's a shitty businessman. But he's been able to work that system. I mean, largely you could argue that his business model is actually based on tax fraud, more so than creating any kind of services or anything. They get away paying less taxes because of loopholes. Well, those loopholes, you can argue which ones are valuable and which ones aren't. Sometimes, it's like sports teams. Like I have a problem with cities paying for a giant stadium if their schools are suffering. But the idea is they're like, well, in 10 years, when this stuff starts working, we'll get more money from that and we'll be able to, in 10 years, handle our schools. Right now, we have no way out of it. And this is a fix that will give us a plan, at least, for a way to solve it. And then they start, sometimes then the team moves and it siphons money out and they built them this whole big fucking stadium and it was a waste of taxpayer money. That's the argument. But in the cities where it works, that's how the whole thing starts. Jimmy Carter was rich from peanuts, but he gives back a lot different. Yeah, he's very different. But also the wealth he has from his peanuts is nowhere near like the job creator that Amazon would be, right? There's nowhere near as many employees by any stretch of the imagination. This isn't about defending that whole thing. It's just like talking realistically. What page do you have up there with all those stats? This is from The Week. This is their speed. Peter Weber posted this. So it's theweek.com. I'll post it after I get off the air. I've got to get off in a minute. Okay. The average consumer is expected to spend $785 just on the holiday season. $785, which means half of them are spending less than that and half of them are paying a lot more. My point overall, there's two kind of here. One is that as much as everyone's wrenching their garments and saying inflation and it's terrible and the terribleness, the reality is it's still going to result in higher consumer output and people buying more shit and having more money in their pocket because as people buy more, the people who sell those things more have more money in their pocket and that kind of stuff. Even with supply chain issues, even with these supply chain issues, even with inflation, they're looking at a 7 to 9% rise in consumer spending in this Christmas holiday season. The Black Friday is going to be 7 to 9% higher than last year, which is, again, like, when have you heard anything even remotely to that's going to be the case, especially from the right wing when they talk about the current state of the economy? If you listen to Glenn Beck or fucking Matt Gaetz yesterday, both of them were talking about the dollar is dead and our economy is destroyed, and none of that is even close to fucking true. Yeah. Yeah. We need to actively clean the environment and better educate our children. Agreed. The chat has left the building. Is everybody just kind of off in their own zone of things? Well, that's what, again, that's what happens when you kind of talk about like conventional wisdom, jargon, and the kind of knee-jerk conversation points that people get used to, and you kind of look at them from a different perspective. How Sparks, give and care for local business and those in need, like homeless people. Don't make Christmas only about gifts. I agree. That's the funny thing, Rebecca, is that the very people who have told us that you can't say Merry Christmas anymore and that Biden has a war on Christmas and Obama had a war on Christmas and the Democrats want a war on Christmas seem to be the people who want to make Christmas more about consumerism than anyone. Did Diamond and Silk find a pumpkin? No, but I almost took a picture. I was at the grocery store the other day, and the whole front of the building, and this is in Nevada, it was just pumpkins and I'm like, it's nice out right now. It's not hot, so they're not, spoiling or whatever. But there's a shit ton of everywhere. What they're talking about, of course, the shortage of pumpkins is the ones that they don't sell at a premium to people who want them for decoration or want to make stuff out of them in person. As what they're talking about is the canned commodity pumpkin for making canned pumpkin pie. It's actually cheaper to make currently, I think, or you're more available to just buy some pumpkins and make some fucking pumpkin pie yourself. Yeah, you got pumpkins everywhere here, right? But supposedly they're just gone, right? You need to get to the airport as your travel agent. Thank you, Donna. I'm going to wrap up, yes, because I've got to leave in about an hour and a half to go to the airport, and I got to jump in the shower. But here's the thing. You guys need to understand that the gloom and doom talk is an act of manipulation all the time. And you always have to just pace your response to it. Right? Because sometimes the right wing, especially when it comes to like the economic stuff right now and inflation or the rise of China, even those two arguments, they're ubiquitous. They're everywhere. They seem to be broadly across the entire spectrum, but they don't largely seem to be true, certainly not in any permanent sense. But both of these groups of people have a reason for making you afraid. This horrible downturn is coming and you've got to be prepared. And you can be prepared by being on our side. No, you can be prepared by being on our side. That kind of thing. Thanks, Carl. I'll be very careful. This is, all right, I'll get Chip. Hold on. Well, let me find him. Hold on one second. Let's see. Hold on. Where are we? Chip, where'd you go? Where are you, buddy? He might have gone up. He might have gone upstairs. Where were you? Were you sleeping somewhere? Sorry, guys. Took me longer than usual. He went. I had to go find him. I did not leave. I had to go get Chip, and he was not to be found. He was passed out. Yeah, sleepy boy. He was having a nap, and then he heard me moving around, so he came out. Yeah, hi, buddy. He wears. Whenever I wear my Mr. Davenport bracelet, this guy right here, he always gnaws on it. He's so sleepy. Are you a sleepy boy? You sleepy boy? Were you sleepy? He was so sleepy. Here's what I want you to take away from the conversation today. Is that do not let yourself be led around by the nose by fear. Because I know. And also get a nap. Thank you. And don't forget to take a nap when you need one. That's the advice from Chip. And when you hear like a conventional wisdom on news programs, especially that sound particularly negative, it's okay to furrow your brow and go, all right, give me a second. And, if this is true? Is it acutely true to hear? Or is it true everywhere? And this is just something that we as humans are all dealing with at once. Is it something we are all having an experience of? He's eating my thumb. Why are you eating my thumb? Why are you chewing my thumb, sleepy? Right? Oh, I will, moms. Can't Stop Lying is always great with the trolls. He's just laying here now. He just wants to doze off. The good news I was referencing was the fact that as much as everybody's telling you the supply chain's screwed and everything's awful, there's going to be just the holiday season alone is going to be up 7 to 9% over last year. And this seems to fly in the face of everything you're being told about the gloomy doomy news that you're hearing all the time. And anybody who's selling you the gloomy doomy, while there's some realistic stuff we're all going to have to deal with, the ones who want to paint it as the end of the world are the ones who are trying to manipulate you, always.